Good day, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, hello. We have a few people joining us, so I'm going to give it another minute or so and we'll get going for Module 1 Finmo walkthrough shortly.
Okay.
All right. I'll give them another 30 seconds. I'm going to post a little hello. Oh, there's, look at that. Good timing, Matt. Welcome, Matt. We're going to get going shortly. I'm going to post a little hello, everyone, in the chat. Please feel free to post any questions you have in the chat, and I will refer to them and answer them throughout the session today. We have lots to cover today, so I don't want to wait too long, so let's get rolling. So thank you everyone for joining me today on Module 1, Finmo Walkthrough and Best Practices, or what I like to call, from a brokering perspective, how do you do a deal on Finmo? And so today's Finmo session is all about exactly that. How do you do a deal in Finmo? How do you start a deal? Where's my online application? How do I invite a borrower in? What does a document management look like with a client? What does Finmo look like from the client perspective? Really important feature to cover and to understand as a mortgage professional. So welcome everyone. I'll say hello again in the chat for those that just joined. Please post your questions in the chat as I get going. Covering off different topics, you may have some questions. I will pause and answer the questions as we're going through it. So my name is Joe Tompkins. I am the technical trainer and integration specialist here for Finmo at Lendesk. It's my job to do this, train brokers, show you how to use Finmo, show you how to integrate Finmo with other systems. And I do all this from my brokering background. I've been in the mortgage broker industry since 2003, licensed broker in British Columbia since 2005, and I love our industry, and I love sharing knowledge and sharing what I learn and passing it along. So today's session is how to do a deal using Finmo, how it enhances your customer journey, and how it can speed up the underwriting all the way through process of getting your mortgage funded. So let's get going. So today I'm going to be predominantly talking about Finmo, but I'm also going to touch on Lender Spotlight, our sister program that is interconnected within Finmo. So let's get into Finmo. So I'm going to share app.finmo.ca. Let me just put that in here. I'll put this in the chat /login, and bookmark that, hit the little star over to the side, and that'll make sure that you always have quick access to your Finmo login. Logging into Finmo, I'm logging into my demo account, and so I just logged in with my email and password. I do not have my multi-factor or two-factor authentication enabled. So that's where I want to start off is security. I always heard a lot about security from clients. Off and on, there'd be times when lots of clients were concerned about it, and times where clients never really brought it up. But more so over the last few years, I've really heard more and more about it. So I want to touch on the security that Finmo has that you can enable, and that's already in place and behind the scenes, because it may be an important conversation you're having with your clients today. Where is my data stored? Who has access to it? Where do I send the documents? I'm not comfortable with email, that sort of thing. So first and foremost, let's talk about the multi-factor authentication. I'm going to come down here to the lower left-hand corner to your account. And on here, you'll see all of your personal details, of course, but I'm going to jump to security. And this is where you can set up two-factor authentication. Simply click on this, and then you'll be instructed to download Authy or Google Authenticator to your smartphone, and then scan the code, or the QR code, pardon me, and then every time you log into Finmo, you have to put in that 6-digit code. So that's manual. It's off by default. But behind the scenes, Finmo is what's called SOC 2 Type 2 certified. What that means in plain speak is that every 6 months we are audited by KPMG, It's the same level of security auditing that all the major banks go through. So we have a whole team of security people at Lendesk that look after the Finmo platform and Lendesk to make sure that we are compliant. We just received a certificate last month that we're fully compliant. We had no errors on our last reporting feature, so it's good news, but it's just ongoing. It's constant. So you can tell your clients, you can spin this, as far as you're using, secure software. When your clients go into the portal, it's password protected. So however you want to be able to relay that information to your clients to alleviate any security concerns, it's helpful. So doing deals and getting going on Finmo. I have landed here on my dashboard. And in here, once your account is set up, you'll start to see recent activity. So all the deals that you're working on. All of these are actionable. You can click on them and it takes you right into the document section for that client. I try to pass along some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years from underwriters and brokers that are far busier than I ever was when I was brokering full time. And one of the items that I really liked came from an underwriter who looked after 3 mortgage brokers. And I asked her when she was sharing her screen with me, she had a lot more notifications happening, and it was an early morning meeting. And I asked her, I said, how do you handle all these notifications? There's lots of different ones, from lender approvals coming in to clients uploading documents to clients e-signing to things expiring. And she said what she does now is she'll come through quickly and she'll scan through and say, hey, Tyra has uploaded her documents. Well, I'm going to look at that later. And she'll open it up in a new tab. And if everything else is to do with her, then fine, she'll go ahead and just clear them all. Then she'll go ahead and go to her main deal screen and work on that deal that she logged in to work on. And then when she's finished working on that deal, she'll go to that tab and take care of the documents that were uploaded by the client or action whatever it is she needed to do. So that's one of the features of Finmo is that you can have multiple tabs opened up and be logged into each one. So you won't get that age-old message of there's already an active session for this user. And I thought it was a great tip because I'm always looking for ways to be less distracted. So having the ability to have multiple tabs opened up and action them later I thought was a great idea. All right, we are on our deal screen, so let's talk about how to start deals on Finmo. Some of you may have already done a practice deal. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing today for you and showing you how, walking you through the underwriting side and the consumer side as well. But there's multiple ways that you can start a deal. First and foremost, the most suggested way is, clicking right here, starting a new deal this way. I'm going to come back to here. You have your online application link, your personal application link right here. When you use the personal application link, those deals are automatically connected to you and you'll be notified. When you use the team application link, you can set who gets notified. And you take care of that in the team settings. In the deal section, make sure that your name is there for deal assignment for the team application link. How else can you start a deal? Well, you can copy an existing file, of course. So if you have a client that is maybe a refinance, here's Carter Johnson, and maybe I'm doing an equity takeout to buy another residence. So I'm going to go to the overview section of the application right here, and I can copy that deal. And it asks me, what do you want to bring over? Well, I want everything, please. What's their goal? It's a purchase, and create a copy deal. And it immediately creates a brand new mortgage application for me. Get rid of that pop-up. And there's the client's new file for the purchase right here. Now, the most suggested way, and now there's a reason why. So if I click here on new deal, it's going to say, well, who's the agent on the deal? Well, I am. And do I want to add a team member at this point? No, I can at any point. If I add a team member at this point, they'll get notified that they've been added to this deal. So if you have an assistant, someone helping you out, they'll get notified right away. But let's click on continue. So let's go with a scenario that I had a phone call from a brand new referral from say a realtor partner referred somebody buying a home. And we have a quick conversation, 10 or 15 minutes at the most. And the client says, hey, Joe, I'm at work. So let's book a time for Thursday. We booked a time to meet and discuss options on Thursday afternoon. And I have some basic information on the application. And the client says, hey, can you send me your application, or how do we proceed? The suggested way is doing what I just did by clicking on new deal and letting the client know hey, I'm going to start a new application with you, and I'm actually going to invite you into it. So you're going to get a text message that confirms your email address from me when I invite you in, but you're also hopefully going to get that email. If you don't get the email, just reply to the text message. It comes directly to my email inbox. So you tell the client, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start the deal, and let's go with Justin Smith, and let's go put his email in, and you put his cell phone number in. Now, this is what I mentioned. You can send text messaging to your clients for free from within Finmo. And when you're starting a mortgage application with a client and you're sending them the link, some people might email them the link to their online application, someone might direct them to their website. But when you do it this way and you say, hi, Justin, here's the app, and then I send a copy via SMS as well, what it does, that first message on text they get when I create new deal is a way to confirm their email address. Now, if your client responds to the text message saying, hey, you spelled my name wrong in the email, you can come into here to the user account details, edit it, adjust the email address to the proper one, save it, and resend that invite to the proper email address. So it's a great way to confirm. But now I've started that application and I've sent that application link to my client's email. So it's sitting there waiting for him to start the application, complete the application. I've actually started it. And why that's important is because you can now take your notes from that meeting you had with the client, and you can go ahead and you can say, well, I know it's a purchase. It's not a pre-approval, it's an approval. It's going to be owner occupied with a suite. They found the property, buying a place for $900, and let's say they're going to put down $350. Let's make this a good application. And let's say it's closing at the end of April, and the financing condition is the second week of March, and they put down $30,000 as a deposit. Save changes. So you can take all the information from your conversation with the client, enter it onto the application, even when the borrower has access, because you have full control. The client can edit the application, the client can submit it and upload documents, but when it's in borrower editing mode like this, they can make all the changes to the application. You can always revoke it by simply clicking on this and revoking access. Maybe the client calls you back and wants to do it on the phone with you, so you can just stop them from making any changes. If you have other notes, maybe the client had a quick conversation saying, yeah, I own a home hardware, I've owned it for 10 years, so you can come into here to the note section, say, BFS owns a home hardware for 10 years, and I'll save that note to get it out of my brain or off my notepad, and that's always right here for you. You can also scroll through the application, say, okay, well, there's his details. Let's assume that that is good for now. And you notice that I'm minimizing each section as I finished working on it. And there's a few reasons for that. So let's go ahead, first of all, and enter in the subject property. Let's say they get $1,800 for the suite income. And let's put the property address in. Autocomplete address. Now, if you have the MLS listing and you want to go ahead and input it, you can just hit the tab key and land in the next block. Hit the first letter of the word you want, E for existing, D for detached, etc. So however you like to enter data in a fast way, because this is super redundant on every application, we've given you that ability. If you want to hit the first letter, you can do that. If you want to hit the arrow down and then hit enter, you can do that. And that's the way we look at Finmo. We're constantly analyzing the accessibility and the usability of the software to make sure that it's, number one, great for clients, and number two, easy for us to maneuver and work deals through. So there we go. I've entered the subject property, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize that as well. Now I'm just waiting for this client to complete the mortgage application. And you can see at the top, my GDS and TDS are way out of line. If I click on this, there's my payment details and my qualifying details. I'm going to come back to this, but it's important to note that this calculator for GDS and TDS is available regardless of the screen you're on. Now, going back to the main deal screen here, there's my brand new deal for Justin Smith. I talked to you about minimizing those sections as I work through, and here's the other reason why. And this was shared to me by a very busy mortgage broker who had transferred over from using Expert for many years, and she was used to very much more compact and tighter information in a space. She did it initially to shrink up the application. So when you go into the application, it starts to shrink it up. But then she realized when she does minimize these sections, it lets her know where she has left off underwriting the deal too. So it's a nice little added bonus. You can see if it's expanded in my view right now, that means it's not complete. I haven't finished that section. There's a subject property. I have minimized it, and I can always expand it again by simply clicking at the top there. So I thought that was a great tip to hand off. So a few different ways to start a mortgage application. Obviously, your online application link that you can put on your website, team application link, copying an existing file like we did for Carter Johnson here, and starting a brand new file by clicking on New Deal. A note about copying a file. So for the Carter Johnson deal, I copied this previous application. The difference between copying an old application and starting a new one is that when you copy an old one, the borrower cannot edit it. So you have to open it up for editing. It's also presumed that when you're copying an old application, you want to do some work on the application before you update the borrower or invite them into the application. So whether you're starting a brand new deal and you've gone from scratch from the deal screen, or whether you're copying an old application, you can do the application on the phone with your client or in person and just simply work through each of this. Let's make this one a pre-approval. It's going to be in British Columbia, owner occupied, actively searching, looking in the 850 range. Down payment, they said they have access to 250. So you can go ahead and work through the whole application. Let's push out to the end of July and as soon as possible. Again, as you go through the application on the phone with the client, you can minimize each section as you're going through. And if I were to leave the employment section expanded, well, he's self-employed, he owns a Tim Hortons, I'm going to need to look at his documentation again, so I'm going to leave this expanded so I know to go back to it. If the client wants access to it, or you want to provide access to the application for them to do some updating on their own, you can do that. You can open the application for editing, and use the example of like, hey, Carter, thanks for the call. I've updated your application. What I'm going to do now is, because you've been on Finmo before, I'm going to go ahead and just send you an update. And just review the application and hit submit and submit. And what that does, when a client submits an application back to you, the client is immediately presented a list of the documents required to get approved for the mortgage. And this is one of the biggest features of Finmo, and it's called the Smart Document feature. So when I started this application for Justin Smith, if I go into his application, the system has read the information that I've entered here, and it's already put together a preliminary list of documents. Not too much, right? If I go back to Carter Johnson's deal, while I started this brand new deal, the system has looked at the application, which is much more complete, and there's a robust list of conditions based on how the application was filled out. Now, these smart documents, the rules for them live right here in the team settings. So when I click on here, I'll go to the smart docs right here. These are the settings, and we set them by default. So in your brand new Finmo accounts, you go into here, you will see a list of requested documents over here on the right. On the left column for general, income, property, assets, these are the sections of the mortgage application. So for instance, if the borrower has employment income, well, on every application, I'm asking for a job letter and a pay stub. Okay. If the borrower is self-employed, well, the borrower is self-employed income, I want confirmation no taxes owing, business license, 2 years NOAs, 2 years T1s. If it's a corporation, these are the items I want. So you customize these documents for what you're asking for. And then as the client answers the application, or as you fill out the application with the client on the phone, however you do it, the system is going to be building out that list of documents. Where it's really powerful is in the collaboration and the way that it connects the document request to the application. So with that, I'm going to jump over to the consumer side, and we're going to pretend to be Justin Smith here and do a mortgage application. Before I go there, are there any questions at all about anything I've covered so far? Okay. Here is the email that Justin received. Hey, Justin, here's the app, Joe. So the client clicks on Get Started, and they're taken to your online mortgage application. But the difference here is that when you invite the borrower in from Finmo and send them the link that way, their information is embedded on the application for them to, it's a nice handoff to the client. The online application looks similar, but there's just their contact info is not there. Your clients do have to create a password to get into the portal. And when they go into the portal, just remind them to click the big green button and go to the application. So this is the consumer side again, and there's 7 steps for the client to go through to complete the mortgage application. And as you can see, some of the information that I've entered on the brokering side has come over here. So the client can go through, make any changes that they need to. Let's say it's closing on the 29th, they can make that. Your contact information is always here at the bottom. They save and they go on to step 2. Now we'll let the client know when there's some incomplete data. But what you're going to find if you do a practice application, and good to know for when your clients are working on applications, is that there are not a lot of hard stops on the consumer application. And by hard stops, I mean error messages, things that are going to block them from moving forward. And the reason we designed it this way and built it this way is that we did a lot of research on what was stopping clients from submitting that online application. What were the blockers? And the number one thing that blocked clients were error messages and blocks and stops and starts, saying you can't proceed until you finish this. And so what we wanted to do was create an application that was easy to go through, easy to enter the information, give them all the locations to enter the information, but not stop them. So if they put in that they've only lived in this property since 2022, that's over 3 years. Good math, Joe. Let's say 2023. We let them know lenders need a 3-year living history to verify identity. So, and then we give them the location to enter the previous address. But we're not going to stop them from moving through the application. We want them to carry on because we know, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to contact the client and, hey, do you have 5 minutes? Let's fill in a couple things on the application that slipped through. So at step 2, this is where your clients can go ahead and add a borrower. They can enter their contact information. They can send an invite to borrower 2, borrower 3, borrower 4, or they can fill out the application on behalf of their spouse if they have implied consent. So however they want to do it, they can fill it out or invite them in to do the application. But I'm not going to add a borrower this way today. I'm going to show you how to do it within Finmo, within the application. So let's finish adding borrowers. Let's give Justin his job. He is self-employed and he owns a home hardware. It's in Canada, and let's say this one is in Kelowna today. Kelowna Home Hardware. There we go. It's a corporation. Job title, he is the owner operator. And let's say 285 was his income from the source annually, and he pays himself with T4 income as well as dividend income. So I'm purposely making this a document heavy application because I want you to see what gets recommended as documents to the client based on the Smart Document features. So another important feature for your clients working through the application is that clients can hide their income, assets, and other properties from other borrowers on the consumer portal. So if you have 2 partners buying a rental property together, they can hide their income and assets and everything like that from each other. So let's save, and on to step 3. We're still here. They can add another source of income that they have, or just click finish. Step 4 is for assets. So let's give them a checking account, and it's at the bank, and he has access to 500, let's say, and yes, he'll be using a portion towards a down payment, let's say 350. Hide the asset, yep, and carry on. Again, they can add as many assets as they have. On to step 5, they can add as many properties as they own. What country, autocomplete address, who owns it, what is it worth, taxes, what's the current use of the property, is it mortgaged, yes or no, If the client says yes, well, then they fill out that information, hopefully. If they say no, we take away the questions to try to tidy up the application. But let's not add a property today. Professionals, they can, of course, add their realtor. And when they enter all this information, and of course it comes through into Finmo, but what can also happen for you is that once you have started using Finmo and you determine that, hey, I want Finmo to speak to my CRM, I want Finmo to put a row in a spreadsheet, that data can be passed from Finmo over to whatever system you want it to go into. So it's really powerful to help you keep all your systems up to date. Finmo has really good connectivity. And of course, they can add a lawyer. At the consent stage, so this is where the client must read and sign your consent. Of course, they read it, they check the box, and they give consent. We have an additional consent coming very shortly for those that sign up and want to use Equifax KYC for identity verification. Right now we have Persona for our third-party ID verification tool, and it's a biometric ID verification, and Equifax will be available very soon. So this is just showing you what it will look like from the consumer side for them to agree to give consent for ID verification. And finish adding consent. So at this stage, the client can click finish adding consent and they're taken through to the review application. They're almost there. Now, at any point throughout the application, when the client is working on it and you're waiting for the client to complete that application, maybe you've set up some notifications to follow up on applications started, maybe it's 24 hours, 48 hours, and you go ahead and you want to, check out the application and see, how's the client doing? So if I click on Justin's deal, first of all, I can see my GDS and TDS has gone green, so that's great. He's obviously entered some income in. I can see where I left off on the deal based on what I have minimized and what isn't. And I can go through and say, okay, that looks okay. Oh, he owns a home hardware, great. Okay, cool. Assets, there they are. I have consent on file. So you can go through the application and see how they're progressing at any point. Now, obviously you follow up with the client by phone or by email, but here's another feature is that you can update the borrower right from within Finmo. You can click update and say, hi Justin, tried calling. Here is the link to finish and submit the app. Watch for the doc list. And then I can choose to send it just by email or send it by email and text message and send the client an update right from Finmo. Now, the benefit of this is that every update you do to your client from within Finmo will always provide them with a link to get back in. So here's the update on the mortgage application. There's the one I sent to Carter previously. But here's the one I just sent to Justin. Tried calling, here's a link to finish. So when your client clicks on login, they're taken through to the portal, they put their email, their password back in, and they go to the application. And they can say, yeah, forgot to submit it. So they scroll down, they put in their thanks, and then they finish and submit. And look what happens. Immediately, the client is presented with the list of documents that they need to provide you based on how they answered the application. The application has been submitted, so it's now locked. They can no longer edit it. But having that connection between the app and the documents is really powerful because it is a collaboration, and getting clients to think this way and think, okay, well, I better get them these documents. Now, if your client does, one of the other consumer behaviors and they submit that application and they just walk away, right? Say they close the tab, they're done, they're out of here. Well, we do something else for you as well. We send this email to your clients immediately upon submission. Confirmation your mortgage application has been received. So if your client did do that, they're going to get this email and they say, oh, thanks for submitting your mortgage app. Okay, I guess these documents are important. So they click on it and they get taken back to the portal, email, password again, of course, and they go to the document section this time. And on here, every document that is requested is based on how they answered it. Some of them are general, like 2 pieces of ID or 2 main forms of identification. But every request in here has a description, a tip, and how to obtain it. They can, if they're on a smartphone, for instance, let me show you what it looks like on a smartphone. So this is an iPhone 14 Pro Max. So Finmo will know what your clients are using for a device, and it adapts the software to work on whatever device your client is using. And that's important. We're in the smartphone age. About between 55 and 60% of the applications that are submitted are coming from mobile devices. So it's important to be using software that works on mobile. So uploading documents now. So let's say two main forms of ID. The client can take a picture of their ID on their smartphone, and they can go ahead and upload. Let me go to my demo docs. Here we go. They can upload ID number 1, or they can choose multiple items at the same time. ID number 2, and maybe they accidentally grab a few other things and drop them in there too. So there's no limit to the amount of items clients can upload into here. So then they save and upload. When a client uploads documents on Finmo, we mark them on the client side in review in yellow. And right at the top, Justin Smith's name is highlighted in yellow to let him know that his documents are in review. So let's upload a couple more. And while I'm uploading a couple more, let me know if there's any questions at all about the consumer side, doing the application or document management from a client's perspective. Well, there's lots in there. Save and upload. Okay, now I make an emphasis of talking about the documents being highlighted yellow here for a specific reason. When your clients submit a mortgage application to you, so let's go ahead and refresh this side, they get marked for review here on the brokering side. So in review on the client side, down at the bottom, and for review on the brokering side. They will remain yellow here and on the client side until you change the status of the documents. It's really important to make sure that obviously we're checking the documents and changing that status so clients have a good application journey. So the other notifications that happen then, when your client submits an application, you of course will get an email that says Justin Smith has submitted their application. You actually get an email when the client accepts the invite. So that means that they have put their password in and they have begun the process of doing the app. So that's the first marker. And then of course, when the client submits documents, you're going to get an email letting you know that the client has begun uploading documents. And you can click this and it takes you right to the document section. So back to Finmo and doing this deal. Now we have the application in, and we want to underwrite it, go through the documents that have been uploaded, and get ready for that meeting in a couple days. When you want to go into the application, there's a couple different ways. You can click on the deal number, takes you to the overview, and you can get to the application that way. You can click on a client's name, John Thompson. It takes me right to John's section of the application, so not quite to the goal, but right down here. So just a couple important differences. So let's go ahead and click on Justin's name and we get taken into the application. Now, I want to pull credit pretty quick here, but before I pull credit, I want to make sure, okay, obviously, do they qualify? Do I even need to bother, doing this? So I jump to my calculator to enter some details to make sure they can qualify. I always suggest coming to the payment details first. There's the purchase price, the down payment, which you can edit here if you want. Let's go ahead and put an interest rate 4.59, fixed, first mortgage, compounding semi-annually. So I'm just tabbing through these sections. No premium. And let's go monthly payment. And it's a closed term. When I click save, Finmo adds 2% to the contract rate here. And when I go to the qualifying details, it's automatically updated the qualifying interest rate here. There's the subject rental income. I'm doing a 50% add back, and I can change it to an offset if I want, and that will be reflected in behind. I forgot to put the taxes on when I entered the property, so I'll go ahead and put them here. No condo, heating expenses, and again, when I click save, that information is saved in behind. Now, if Justin was a pre-approval application, and let's say I'd gone through and looked at his income and confirmed, yeah, he does have $350,000 for a down payment. I know a lot of the time when I was brokering full-time, the big question from clients was, hey, so how much can I actually afford? Once you have the application built or partially built, but you know the income and you have the down payment numbers, all you need to do is, again, come to the calculator and then right here, calculate affordability. You simply click on it and it tells you immediately what the maximum purchase price is. Hey, Justin, you can afford a mortgage of 1.343 4 million. And with your down payment of 350,000, you can afford a purchase price of 1.693 million. And they say, well, how can I afford more? Well, do you have more income or do you have more down payment? If you have more down payment, great. So let's go ahead and put 400 in here. You put 400 in and the maximum purchase price increases right away. If this were a pre-approval application and the client says, okay, well, that's great. So I'll go look for houses in the 1.6 or lower range. You can do this. You can click apply and it puts that purchase price in here for you. And then you know that when you save it, you're right at the top for GDS and TDS. And you can see once it hits, anything above 38 or 30, once it hits 39, it goes red. So let's go ahead and go back to, I think I had 900 in there. There we go. And then I click save and it goes back. So this is a great little tool, really great little tool. And of course, you can adjust the GDS and TDS and you'll get different results. We also have another nice feature. If you're talking to a client about payments monthly versus bi-weekly, you can generate a quick amortization schedule for monthly payments. So this will open up a new tab for me and create a PDF document. While that's loading, I'll go ahead and switch up the results to accelerated bi-weekly and generate a quick amortization schedule for that. And then you can let the client know and say, okay, well, if you want to pay monthly, at the end of 5 years, you will owe 483. If you want to pay bi-weekly, at the end of 5 years, you will owe 466. So it's significantly better to pay bi-weekly accelerated. So it's a great little tool, and of course you can download these and email them to your client, whatever you need to do. So the calculator, always available wherever you are. So working through the application now, I'm going to fill in the blanks and answer everything that was missed in conversation with the client. The client saved the application online and hid his income from other borrowers. So I get this big banner here reminding me that the client did this. I'm going to jump in here and say, yeah, he's in retail sales and working full time. Save. But I want to confirm his 285 income before I minimize this. So I'm going to go to the documents, but I'm actually just going to open them up in a new tab. Maybe you use multiple screens, so you want to have the application on screen 1 and documents on screen 2. So reviewing documents and adding document requests and generally managing the documents. What we've tried to do is really, again, make this a collaborative approach with your clients by presenting them the list of docs they need to get you, but then working the documents in the deal as a broker. We've tried to make it as easy as possible. So let's look at the two main forms of ID. So I can look at item number 1, item number 2. It's like, interesting, there's this pickup truck. It's like, okay, well, I don't need this pickup truck. I'll hide that. And it puts it down here into the hidden files. And this is his NOA. So let's say this is a 2023 NOA. So I'm going to type in 2023. And I'm going to move that to the other condition down here. Now I have the two pieces of ID, and let's say they're good. If I want to download a copy of these items, I can click merge and download as a PDF. They're both image files. So when I do this, it combines both items into one PDF document for me, and it also labels them. So there's ID number 1, ID number 2. Great little feature. And then of course I want to change the status so it's reflected properly on the client side. So I accept it. But not only for the client, it's nice to know when you're jumping into a deal, you can go to the documents and know that you're keeping up to date on the document statuses, so you have one spot to go to confirm. So here's the next 2024 T1, and again, the bunch of stuff in here, you can just scroll through each one and get a preview of each item. And if you want to, you can hide them all. Doesn't matter. They're always here, and you can always unhide them if you want to. If it's multiple pages and you download it, it'll combine multiple pages. So let's say there's the T1, but it's not complete. So we're going to go ahead and mark this needs attention. And I'm going to say, please upload the full T1 package here. And I save that note. That note gets transcribed to the consumer portal. If I have documents that I have received another way, let's say the realtor sent me the purchase offer, I can just come into here and accept them. I can upload them, of course, if I want to from my computer, but I just want to keep the document request up to date in here. So I have one source of truth to go in and look at what's outstanding and what's not outstanding. Once I have reviewed and marked some as accepted and some needs attention, I can do a few more things. Of course, I can add a new request. I can choose a document from all the different conditions, or I can work with our partners at Snap and Away and I can request a 2-year income docs package. When you enable this with a credit card on file in the team settings and you create the request inside of a deal, your client will get an email and Snap and Away will get an email and they'll contact your client very quickly within hours and they'll work with your client to get permission for them to go ahead and pull the 2-year history of income documents from CRA for you. And the nice thing is that they don't email them. They actually put the documents right into the condition within Finmo for you through our secure API. Another piece of great communication and consistency is obviously, well, you can set the due date. That's not so crazy fun, but I love this feature, the automatic reminders. For me, this was key, consistent messaging on deals, especially if it's a purchase, you want to keep up with the client. So I'm going to set the frequency for the reminders to go out every 2 days. And the system will send out 3 reminders on your behalf to your clients saying, hey, these items are still required. And these emails look like this right here. Reminder. Hey, this is a reminder. We still require the following documents to complete your mortgage approval. So we send out a list of what's outstanding for borrower 1 and if there's a second borrower for borrower 2, and we give your client a link to go back into their portal. Now, when you're finished reviewing documents, you can of course update the borrower right away, and you can see we have a little alert here. So I'm going to update the borrower and I can say hello in here and say hello, updated list for you. Whoops, for you, Joe. And I can choose to send it just by email or by email and text. And off it goes. So the client now immediately gets an email, demo mortgage document update. Okay. Hey, Justin, updated list for you. So now when the client clicks login, they put their email, they put their password back in, they go back to the portal. When they go to the document section, they can see the due date, but they also see what needs attention along with your note about that condition and what they need to do. Now, clients can never remove documents once they've uploaded them. Obviously, we have to keep a copy of every document to do with the mortgage application for 7 years. But the other great feature is that the clients will see what has been accepted. So again, the collaborative approach, good communication and easy communication. So that is document management very quickly. Any questions at all about managing docs in Finmo? All right, let's finish underwriting this deal. So of course you can come into here and you can adjust the income once you've found out the 2-year average and save it. And then we'll minimize it. You can add other income to each applicant. Pension, OAS, whatever the other income is. Adding a borrower. If I had just started this application and I just invited borrower 1 in, this is when you can come in at any time and you can add an additional borrower. Put their contact information in, invite them to create an account, make sure the application is open for them to edit, and then save changes and invite the second borrower in. But the other feature I want to show you, which I really love, is adding a borrower from an existing application. So, if you have, Justin Smith here, and let's say Sean Smith is the spouse, well, I can go to Justin's deal or Sean's, and I can add a borrower and click add a borrower from an existing application and type in Sean Smith and grab that deal. We can do a complete deal copy, including documents. And yeah, let's archive Sean's version. And I'm just going to bring him into this application. And whatever information is in his application will be completely copied over. But now I have borrower 1 and borrower 2 that quickly. So it's a great feature, especially for previous clients and maybe their son or daughter does a mortgage and you need to add mom or dad as a co-signer. It's a great way to quickly add a current borrower into an application. And again, you work through their application. Now for borrowers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and onward, you can hide them from the deal. You can make them the main borrower, or of course you can delete them from the deal. In the document section, when there's multiple borrowers, this is what it'll look like. You'll have columns for their document section. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and hide Sean from the deal. So when you hide a borrower from a deal, their information obviously is hidden, but it won't go through to the lender. Only the people that are exposed will go through to the lender. And of course, you can unhide a borrower. All right, working through the application. I'm going to hide Sean. Sorry, Sean. We have assets here. Perfect. $350 for the down payment. And credit consent. We have consent. Now, if I didn't have consent, or maybe I'm doing the application on the phone, we have this request or re-request consent button here. If you click on it, it says, hey, is this Justin's email? Yep. And you can tell your client in real time, hey, Justin, so I just sent you an email for the consent. I need your consent to pull credit and a few other things on there, so please check your email. And they can go in and say, sign the consent. Oh yeah, got it. Hey, Justin. So they don't, with this, they don't need to log into anything. They just simply read and sign, and it shows them your consent form and just a checkbox, and they give consent. And that's it. Once they have consented, you will get an email and it'll say Justin has consented. Back on Finmo, if I do a quick refresh now, the system will show that consent has been received. There it is. So when you're ready to pull credit, of course, you can just simply click pull credit and it'll bring in the credit bureau report and you can view it. You can open it in a new tab, whatever you need to do. It will add liabilities only if there's an outstanding balance. So let's say he has a credit card with a limit of 10 and he owes 3,000 and Justin is the owner. Let's call it Visa. This is what it's going to look like on the deal. But there will be a little purple oval right here that says Credit Bureau. So you're going to know the difference between the items you manually entered and the items that came in from the report. And of course, if you want to pay it off from proceeds or prior to advance, you can do that. Properties owned, there's no properties owned, but you can easily add a property. Subject property, we've already entered the details in here, so they've come in. Now there's some incomplete data, so I'm going to jump in here and just go through and put in the tax year and paid by borrower and fill in the blanks. So now, looking at this application, I've got the mortgage information. I entered this above, so it flowed down into here. And if I hit edit details here, it simply drops the calculator down. Whatever I put into this calculator in the payment details and the qualifying details, this will be reflected in my submission area when we're ready to submit this deal. But if I look at this deal now and I scroll through it, everything is collapsed. So that's telling my brain that, hey, I've pretty much finished underwriting. That's great. You can check any section you want to make sure it's accurate, okay? But it's all nice and tighter now. So what I want to talk about now is how Finmo can speak to Lender Spotlight, and that is our sister program. So there's a couple different ways to get the Lender Spotlight. Right down here, you see this, and this takes you through to Lender Spotlight, but it takes you to the home page. There's no filter set. It'll ask you to log in if you're not logged in yet. So let's go ahead and log in. And it'll take you into Lender Spotlight. Now, the other way to get into Lender Spotlight is right in the deal. So let's go back to Finmo. And up here, we have our Find Products button. If you click on this, it gives you a quick summary of the deal. And when you click on Find Available Products, it will open up Lender Spotlight. And it sets the filters for you on the left-hand side to like a basic level. So now I say, yeah, I'm doing a purchase in British Columbia. It's going to be owner occupied. And I first of all would like to find the best 5-year fixed. And it brings in the amortization, the mortgage amount, property value, loan to value, GDS and TDS. It'll even bring in the beacon score. So if you have a low beacon, obviously not as many options will appear. But let's make it a good Tuesday app. So make it 800 beacon. So now you can set the filters as much as you want. But let's say I've set them for as far as I want to go, and now I want to go ahead and find the best interest rate for the 5-year fixed term. So there's Rocket Mortgage Canada. So I can click on this and I can look at the terms and say, yeah, okay, that's pretty good actually. Let's choose that one. And it'll add it over here. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to pick a few different 5-year fixed products and I'm going to add them to my comparison list. And maybe I can switch up the results. And let's add one more. Let's add a RFA 5-year fixed. And now let's switch up my results to be variable. So I click on this, and maybe the client had a conversation with you about variable versus fixed, and you want to show them, and you want to go over the options with them so they can make an informed decision with your guidance. So now let's go ahead and pick Marathon's variable, and we'll choose their variable rate. So now I have 4 products over here on the right hand side. What I want to do is I want to compare them. This page gives me, the broker, a quick review of each of the products, but I know them, so really what I want to do is I just want to create a PDF document that I can download or print and show my client or email it to my client or do a screen share like we're just about to do. So I can click create a report, and now this is where it's asking you, the broker, what do you want to put on this report? Well, I want to put some notes. And I don't need to show them everything, so I'll turn off GDS and TDS, the beacon and max amortization. You can even turn off the lender name if you wish. And then you can include other features, prepayment, penalty stuff, and then create the custom PDF report. So Lender Spotlight will generate this report for you, and I'm going to make it bigger. And page 1 will show the 4 products that you wanted to feature. Page 2 will show the features that you wanted to highlight for Rocket, for RFA, for Strive, and for Marathon. And then, like I mentioned, you can download this, you can print this report, but it's a great way to, to show your client, here are the options for you, these are the ones I recommend and why. And then your client can, again, they're pre-informed when you've had that meeting. And when you get that signing package done and after the approval and you're reviewing all the signing documents with your client, you know that you've gone through this document previously with them. So you're reinforcing the prepayment and the penalties and all the information. In fact, for those provinces that have to do a compliance document like the mortgage suitability form, you have to answer the questions. How many lenders? Did you talk to them about this? Did you talk to them about affordability and privileges? All that good stuff. This is a great way to sort of preempt that, to set it up so when you do get to that document, when you're signing the client up, you know that you've already covered this stuff. In fact, I've had a couple brokers that will actually download a copy of this comparison and they'll save it. We'll call this Justin Compare, and I'll save it in his folder. And then within Finmo, what you can do, let's say that the role play for this is like, hey, Justin, that's great. We're going to go with RFA or whomever it is. In the meantime, I'm going to get your deal ready and submit it, and we should hear back in 24 to 48 hours from our lender. But what I want to do is I'm going to send you a quick e-sign, Justin, and I want you to initial beside RFA. So you can go ahead and create an e-signing request right in Finmo, and this is one-span sign, and it's free, and you get it included with your Finmo account. I can go ahead and drag the document or grab it. Let's go to my downloads. There's my Justin Compare. So I upload that document I just showed him, and I'm going to put his initials right beside RFA. Move it up, minimize it, and then I'm going to duplicate that initial, and I'm going to move it to the other page that talks about the prepayment privileges. There's Rocket, and there is RFA. And I'll move this down. And then I can include a message and say, please initial, confirming we reviewed together. And then I send that for an e-signing request. And off it goes. On Finmo, it'll show it as pending and sent. On the main deal screen, it shows it as sent right here. e-signing on Finmo, your clients don't need to log into anything. They're just going to get an email that says e-sign your mortgage documents. Hey, Justin. They click on this. It opens up the OneSpan signing page, and they'll be able to review the document and initial beside RFA. Click next, initial there, and confirm. Once they're done, they can download a copy of it, but you will get an email letting you know that Justin finished e-signing. And within the deal itself, once I refresh this screen, this is going to go from sent to signed right there. Okay, I've had the meeting with the client. I know where I'm going for a lender. I jump into the deal to do a last minute check on it before I go to the submission section. GDS and TDS looks good. I can hit my calculator here, remembering that whatever I put in the qualifying, whatever I put in the payment details will flow through to the submission area. So now I want to get to the submission area. Two ways, right here and at the bottom of the application. So you just simply click on it and it takes you to the submission area. So within here, we show you the link through to Lender Spotlight again. We show your favorite lenders, and you can set your favorite lenders by simply clicking here, and it takes you to the team settings where you can set them. But I want to go with RFA. Now RFA is not on my favorite lender list today, so I can go to the drop down, choose RFA, and choose that lender and begin the draft mortgage application. And here is our draft. My computer's slow today. And there we go. RFA started today. We bring in the policies from Lender Spotlight here. I can hide this section, but it gives you a last look at the rules before you submit it. We show the validation errors with red hard X, and then the smart validation, which are the soft errors. Down payment information has come over. And of course, GDS and TDS, it shows you what you use to qualify your client. And if you want to edit that, you just simply hit edit. It drops the calculator down, and you can make any adjustments you need to. Next section, the mortgage information and request details. This is your last touch of the mortgage details before it goes through to the lender. So you're going to hit edit details, and you're going to put in the interest adjustment date. Let's say it's May 1st. First mortgage, 550, 5-year term. No, it's not with the lender. Interest rate. Now, if you got a break, you spoke to the underwriter or the BDM, and maybe you can get it down to 4.49. You can change the interest rate here. You can change the type, the loan type. Once you click save, it won't change the interest rate up here. It only changes it for this submission. So now let's say I leave this submission, this draft submission. I go back to the application. I fix something that was missing, or I review something. When I go back to the submit section, it's going to show me, I thought I started to. Let's delete that one. It's going to show me my draft. Now, as you can tell, if I want to start another one, I can go ahead and I can click on First National. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to have multiple draft submissions ready to go. Maybe First National was a variable and RFA was the fixed. Well, I can jump back into this, and again, I can go through the details and make any necessary changes. I can add the submission agent for them. But now I want to do my packaging notes to sell this deal to the lender. So we have our smart submission notes in Finmo. All you need to do is click generate submission notes, and Finmo creates them for you. We bring in the GDS, the TDS, the product. Now, of course, you can fix up that interest rate. You can add a note about income. Cut it out. There we go. You can say note about income. It brings in the credit and liabilities, assets. You can delete a whole block if you want. And it brings in your contact information, of course, and you save changes, and your packaging notes are done in a quarter of the time. If the deal is good to go and you're ready to submit it, you can click on submit, and off it goes to your lender. It will take you back to this page, and that submission to RFA would have switched from draft to submitted. If the client said no to the variable and you don't want this draft message, this draft submission here, you can always and only ever delete a draft. You'll be able to view the submission had this been submitted. And back on our main deal page, this deal would have switched automatically from in progress to submitted. So there we have it. We've gone from a lead, new application started, done the application as a client, submitted it, upload documents, manage docs, underwrote the deal, and submitted it to a lender. Any questions at all about any of the things I've shown you today, please feel free to unmute or type a question in the chat, and I will gather the links while you're doing that to share with you for other sessions. So any questions at all, folks? Everyone's very quiet today. All right. So I have pasted in the chat the other module sessions, including this one. So there's module 1, module 2, module 3. Module 2 is tomorrow, and that's how to get your account set up so you're ready to submit. Module 3 is Thursdays, and it's how does Finmo speak to my CRM system? How does it speak to my spreadsheet? I talk about automations, I talk about the client journey, all that good stuff. And module 4 is with the Lender Spotlight team. They'll walk you through everything and more that I showed you today on how to use Lender Spotlight. Aman, you asked a question. Does Finmo auto-suggest lenders also? No, we do not auto-suggest. That is what our partner program Lender Spotlight is for. So again, inside of every deal, you can click Find Products and then click this, and it opens up Lender Spotlight. And you can go ahead then and adjust the filters and find solutions for your client that way. Good question. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again if you're on another session with me. Again, Wednesday and Thursdays I'm on showing more Finmo stuff. So Aman, I'm a new agent. How do I know about A lender, B lenders, etc.? Well, a great way to learn, Aman, is through Lender Spotlight and your mentor. So whomever you're working with at your brokerage that can help you work through an application and tell you the difference based on credit score. It's very intricate. And it's, as you do more deals, you start to learn what is an A deal, what is a B deal. But Lender Spotlight is a great resource to look at, play with the filters, see what's available, look at the terms and conditions, and then you can look at all the different areas over here. Yes, Donna, I can put my email address in there. I'll put it in the chat if you'd like to reach out to me. One thing I didn't mention, which is almost the very most important thing, inside of Finmo. Now, as you get going and everyone starts doing their own demo deals and you have questions, and now, Donna, you might be able to get this answer through our customer support. We have the very best customer support team in the Canadian mortgage industry, and I say that confidently. This chat bubble down here, I'm going to scroll down to say send a message. I'm going to say, hello, please help. And when I click that, the team gets a message on our intercom system, and the turnaround time last week was 1 minute and 40 seconds. So this is monitored between 9 a.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday to Friday, and the team will answer you in real time. So, hey, where do I find this? How do I do this? Or maybe I have a suggestion. That chat bubble is what that is for. I'm usually always in meetings doing training sessions like this or helping brokers connect their system to their CRM. So our customer support is, like I mentioned, it's the best. They're real people. Tarika, Marnie, Tracy's. Every once in a while, my head will appear in there, but they'll answer you very quickly and take care of any concerns. So there we have it. Thank you, everyone, and I look forward to speaking to some of you again and seeing you on another session. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.